Good morning, everyone. It is again another pleasure to be with you today, and I hope this finds every one of you well. Those of you that are having trouble in your detoxifications, hang in there, guys. There's a lot of ups and downs, but I find most of you are doing quite well, and so keep it up. Keep moving down this line. Keep pushing yourselves. Know when to hold them, know when to fold them. Know if you're getting too way out there, sometimes a little balance helps. And so keep going. You guys are kicking butt. I'm just totally grateful and pleased that each one of you are taking this on and understanding these higher principles of nature and of life. I think this is just incredible to see so many of you beautiful souls engaged in this issue here. There's a lot of you fasting right now, and there's been some question about fasting and water fasting. And I have commented on this before, and I don't know if it was Dan or someone was, there was some information that people should just jump right into fasting, and I think we all know better than that. To be honest with you, maybe back in the older days you could jump right into that. But when you take a look at the amount of lymphatic problems, the amount of kidney problems, the amount of adrenal gland problems, which reflects into low blood sugar and low blood pressure. I think I was telling you about Dimitri here from Switzerland, who we found his blood sugar to be 41 while he was fasting. Certainly your blood sugar is going to go down, but when you get down too low, that's very serious. And so this is something to consider. I think it is much better to build yourself up to fasting. I really do. I think the amount of toxicity that we have inside of ourselves from all the chemicals, from all the makeups that the women have been using, to all the kind of petrochemicals men get into, and women as well, all the lotions and things like this. And then look at the diets, and then look at the air itself. So our bodies are fairly toxic, and given all the lymphatic problems that most people suffer from, water fasting to me is not wise. And I commented on this before, I think it was the last video, about Herbert Shelton and the 12-year-old. So I think that important to build yourself to that. I really do. Some of you that the adrenals are so low you have very little nerve energy. I think it is better to bring in the fruit category, because you're bringing in all this energy, you're bringing in the proper chemistry, you're bringing in the astringents, you're bringing everything that moves lymph, but most importantly, you're bringing the one food, and I'll categorize that as fruits, berries, and melons, but you're bringing in that classification of foods that are neural rebuilders. Because, and we'll read a couple of these questions here, but one was about fatigue. And this is a neurological fatigue. As long as you're digesting fairly adequately, you're absorbing fairly adequately, then you're going to be getting at least carbon and oxygen. You know, you're going to at least get carbon and oxygen. And if you want to get more oxygen, learn how to abdominally breathe, not thoracically breathe. And we've covered this in past videos about proper way to breathe. And so, important to bring in oxygen, of course, but it's important to get those sugars in there as well. Set that aside. That's cellular ATP, adenosine triphosphate. That's cellular energy. Well, aside from that, most of the weaknesses people feel is neurological. And that, of course, is the autonomic nervous system predominantly. And that, of course, deals with the adrenal glands again on top of the kidney. So there's many things one can feel when the adrenal glands are down. Remember, they control mineral utilization, iron, zinc, selenium. You can, they're the cobalts, the precursors for B12s. All these things are dealt with in the adrenal glands. So you see the side effect of that. You can't treat that. Take B12 or take more iron, and we're getting into that isolating of chemistry and the side effect of isolates, because most isolates have side effects. That's why God put everything synergistically bound, magnetically locked. And so we go in and cut these locks with heat, cooking, and things like this, of course, and processing. So really, you have to get back to these adrenal glands in every way. Blood sugar, neurological factors, autonomically speaking, your estrogens and testosterones. All these factors come in these little bitty walnut-sized glands sitting on top of the kidneys. So real important glands, and most people are very, very chronic in those. And this is why it's taking some to get their energy back a little while. That's why you don't want to lose energy with thinking, lose energy with desires, lose energy being upset. Lose energy trying to digest vegetables too much, juice them. There's a lot of ways we lose energy. And so you have to learn how to be in the present moment. That brings the God force through you. Also, the fruits exchange their energy so nice and so sweet to you. And so this is the only way that you can get. Then if you want to use the glandulars or so to pop them up even more. But this is the direction that you can get remedy in. And so there are going to be times of fatigue and extreme fatigue in some cases. And I've told you about a dentist. I guess she worked for this dentist in California, but she had extreme fatigue. She thought she was literally going to die. It put her to bed. She couldn't even get out of bed hardly. And I was a little worried about her too, but she was pumping the juices, she was pumping the fruits and stuff, so I knew she's getting plenty of nutrition and energy. This is a neurological fatigue. And then when she came out of that, I couldn't believe it. She said, "My God, I've never had this kind of vitality. I've never had this kind of energy before." And it was amazing to see that. But to go through it was hell for her. She thought she was going to pass. And she was 60-some years old, So these are the things you have to work through, and always consider those kidneys and adrenals, because again, this is the main factors of the gigantic lymphatic system, which you see now. And looking at this, you start to see it popping its ugly little head everywhere. Acidosis, 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 whether you're dealing in arthritises, you're dealing in gastritis, colitis, enteritis, or you're dealing in cystitis, pancreatitis, hepatitis, it don't matter. It's just all acidosis. The problem is man's mind has tried to make a million reasons for something that is really only one or two causative factors. So you guys get it pretty good, I know. But let me go over some of these questions so we don't get too far behind. And Kelly, I'm not going to answer 982 questions. That was insane. What were you thinking? Were you having a moment of relapse? I mean, what would you think about that? That's beyond the scope of reason. Okay, now here's one, and this is Aloha from Ohio. Wait a minute. Ohio now has turned into the next Hawaii. My dear, I love the letter you sent me, my dear. And this is Evie. She lived in Hawaii for a while and took on that consciousness of the native Hawaiians. And I tell you, it's neat to see those old God people, the natives of the land, even in the States and in the, away from Hawaii into the other 49 states. We have a lot of natives, the native Eskimos. You got natives everywhere, and these people are heart and land and love. It's amazing. Of course, you have that everywhere, and the opposite of that as well. Okay, aloha from from Ohio. She says, aloha means the breath of God. I think that's pretty cool. I've heard that before. Is in our presence. I love all that stuff. It's funny, you were sweet, sweetheart. And I knock your socks off, and then she put them back on. She's dealing with a little hypothyroidism. Her feet gets real cold. Of course, she's in Ohio, so that's a cold place to be. I was from Indiana. That's a cold place to be. She's a little overweight at 58 years old. She has a list of health problems as long as the government's list of excuses for financial bailouts. This is my kind of woman. Oh man, oh man, you gotta get me going, aren't you? Hypothyroidism is at the top of the list. At the cold hands and feet, low body temp, hair loss. Now, again, I really feel that thyroid has nothing to do with hair loss, although you see it in hypothyroid cases, but I think that's also when you see chronic lymphatic problems in the head area. It's acids that are going to take off the hair. I mean, every time I talk to you guys that have done the chemo routes, hair loss has been a part of that, and so it should be in your face or on your head that acids are at the core issue of why you break down tissue. There's only two sides of chemistry. That's how simple this is. And predominantly, we can go to the acid side. Rarely are we too high on the alkaline side, where we're up into lye or something like that. Dry skin, can't lose weight regardless of exercising. So we're back to a couple things there. If you're exercising and you can't lose weight, what's going on here? Remember, we've been talking about sometimes when you exercise and you're creating all this lactic acid, that the most important thing to consider is the removal of that acid. And if you don't, that sets up acidosis, which sets up edema. And so these are the factors that your body uses. And also your body will use lipids to fight this acidosis. So you got two problems. The use of fats, lipids, and also the use of edema or water to buffer acidosis. So this is going to go back again. You're fatigued. This is going to go back to your kidneys and adrenals again, sweetheart. And of course, the weight's going to go back to the adrenal glands again, not just thyroid. Well, thyroid controls the rate of metabolism. So that's how fast you digest your foods. I'm kind of a slow metabolizer, little thyroid. That's the goiter belt, they claim, around the Midwest there. And so we all tend to have a little low thyroid. And they always said it's because of the low iodine in the soils. Me, I think it's the heart of dairyland. And we're all clogged up from all the dairy foods. I think that'd be more appropriate because that's what I've seen in the Midwest. And it's all over, no question. Even in the UK, they talked about, in Portugal, I was telling some lady to get off these milk she was on. She said, well, you Americans taught us to drink it. And I'm going, what? I said, what are we, there we go again. There's America again, right there, reaching out to Portugal. She also has fibromyalgia. Now, we can put all this together. Here's lower back, right? So we can put all this together, right? Lower back, kidneys, right? L4, L5, remember that. That's the kidney vertebrae. So here we've got the adrenals. We got the kidneys. We know she's not filtering, so therefore she has systemic, meaning head to toe, acidosis, meaning fibromyalgia. Or you could say lupus, or you could say any arthritis, or you could say Lyme's. You could say anything you wanted down that line because you're walking down that line. Same line, systemic acidosis. Call it with whatever, and whatever factors you see in the blood is just cofactors or side effect factors of acidosis and what tissues are involved, whether you're looking at proteins, cancer markers, antigens, I don't care what you're looking at. These are all byproducts of acidosis. Matter of fact, if you look and realize that most symptomologies are really based on acidosis and the corresponding effect upon that relative tissue, you're going to see that particular type of thing happen. You'll see your weaknesses or your weaker areas genetically more problematic than you will any other area first. So that's what gives everybody a little different twist on the same acidosis. You'll have someone have fibromyalgia, and yet someone will start developing tumors, and yet everybody's at a different level on this, which gives medical doctors a fit because they start seeing everything as individual problems, not looking at the whole and as a systemic issue. And I think that's been their failing, and they have to get to that and start looking holistically at everything and start looking at chemistry and physics and the interaction of that by ingestion, whether it's by what you eat, by what you drink, by what you put on your skin, or also by what you breathe in. I mean, this is all how you bring the world of chemistry inside, and that is everything. Chemistry, at that level, we could say, at the level of a chemist, we could say everything is chemistry. And there is the good and the bad. And there is the good and the bad. There is the hot and the cold. There is the healing and the corrosive. And that's what you see in the two sides of chemistry. Quite simple, I think, don't you guys? Now, so you can tie all that together so far. Her tongue's coated. Now, she's got low back. She's got neck pain. So she's got acidosis all through her here. Up in the thyroid gland, my guess, you could go on up into the pituitary, sweetheart, and probably find some suppression there. that's where the eyes come in, and we can see whether that thyroid is weak because the pituitary, which is TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone, that comes out of the pituitary gland. And that could be suppressing the thyroid as well. So, when you're involved systemically with the lymph, the problem could be over here causing a symptom over here. Low body temp, of course, is definitely thyroid. She's had some injuries. My tongue is coated. Of course, that's the GI tract. She gets weird heart palpitations that might be related to the 10 amalgam fillings. Well, I definitely get the amalgam fillings out, dear one. Even if you did them one or two at a time, I would definitely get those fillings out and trade them out for composites. Get those out of there. But this could be many things. This could be your very adrenal here. So that's the nervous system that polarizes the heart. So that's an area that you have to consider. Also, with the thyroid, you could consider low calcium utilization from the parathyroid, which would then lead you to heart palpitations or weird sensations neurologically as well, because calcium, main component of the nervous system as well. One major puppy, the calcium is. Some nights I am awakened with pain from lymph nodes. Well, there you go. Lymph nodes in the groin, absolutely. It's all right there, sweetheart, for you. My mom died of lymphoma at 63. That makes me want to puke. And her dad died at 43 from a heart attack. Well, this is what's going on. This poor soul, 43 years old, just showed you how bad his lymph system was in the heart. Because remember, when it's acidosis, now the body has to fight that. And calcium and cholesterol are the two fighters of acidosis. And those are the two main obstructions you find in heart attacks and strokes. So you have to consider that. And with this kind of history, you want to tear up that kidney and adrenals and get them moving, get your lymph moving, because your lymph nodes are screaming at you, telling you to move lymph. And that's just all right here for you. So you have seasonal allergies, again, chronic sinus trouble. So you definitely have colon issues, sweetheart. So clean up the bowels and get your sinuses dry. I mean, as you start moving lymph, this is imperative here. Just because of your history here, your genetics and stuff, you really want to move your lymph. Remember, the GI tract related to the head, got to clean this up to get proper sinus drainage. So really want to work with that. Most of our lives you've had battle depression. Okay, so here this is Asperger's syndrome. Listen, that's parathyroid, dear one. I have to tell you that I'm thinking more pituitary, but now we're looking at thyroid, parathyroid. There's going to be the calcium utilization issues. That's going to relate to heart and neurological, also skeletal connective tissue. Just look at all the things calcium is a part of. And that's where you're going to have problems there, structural, whether it's skeletal or connective tissue. And that holds everything together. So when you lose connective tissue, everything starts to sag and drop. Breast, bladder, uteruses, all these things. I was having skin. I was having chronic acid reflux, but I noticed it goes away when I cut back on grains and dairy. Cut back? No. Cut out. Not cut back. Cut out. Those foods can no longer be a part of your repertoire. You can't eat these foods. Man has to quit eating these foods. Grains and dairies. Those are got to cut them out, dear one. I have a lot of age spots on my hands and arms and also many moles and skin growths. Well, yeah. Liver, of course, but moles are adrenals. Adrenals for all the moles. You're not metabolizing your sugar, so you're headed for hypo or hyperglycemia if you don't already have it. So this is important. Yes, I mean, you need to clean your liver out. Don't I sound like a real beauty? Yeah, you are a beauty. So these are just a few little problems that your body's having. And your body was told genetically maybe it couldn't function right in the adrenals or whatever. Just fix it. It's all fixable. This has nothing to do with you. This is your body and what you were dealt the cards, when you're playing poker or something, you're dealt with your hands. So now you have to deal with the hand you were dealt with. But we know the secrets, don't we? We know the secrets to get out of these problems. And not a lot of people do, so keep it up. Even though I was raised on a typical Midwest, don't tell me about that. I know that. Potatoes and dairy. Man, typical Midwest. I become a vegetarian 2 years ago, gave up coffee, blah, 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 blah. She had a spiritual awakening. All right. Thank you. Thanks to a deceased Hawaiian friend. Wow. Now, that's pretty cool. Might come to you out of body and talk to you or something. That's pretty cool stuff. She can never afford health insurance. Of course, no one can. It's ridiculous for this government to think that. And so you have to take matters in your own hands. Well, that's what this is about. We're going to take matters in our own hands. We the people, right? We the people. Read the little book on the Constitution. We the people, and know your rights. I am planning to start my fruit detox next week. I hope you're in it right now. I got the thyroid formula, the lymph node 1 formula, and the parasite. Well, I'd get a few more. I'd really get focused on the adrenals, have them make you up a protocol here, dear one. Take a desiccated adrenal cytotrophin. I would definitely take a pituitary cytotrophin 1 and 1. I'd definitely take the Calma Plus for a little bit. That's a parathyroid. I know a little CalMag in it, but you want to take the thyroid cytotrophin with it. I'd pop these up for a little bit at the same time. You got to clean sinuses. You got to open some doors here, honey. Get those bowels cleaned up and the like. Now, these questions are for every one of you guys. Even though I'm reading it to her and about her, there's thousands of her out there. Thousands and thousands, millions. And this is what we're up against. So these cases are for each and every one of us to review and to understand, because as practitioners, this is a common case here. This is like every day you're going to get cases like hers. Every day. This is just what's out there every day. So this is good for everybody here. All your questions are so great, and it's for each and every one of us. And this is partly how I train you guys to be practitioners, because I want you to be the best of the best of the best. My questions are, do I take 3 formulas together? Absolutely. I'd take more than that. And review these videos. Kidney number 1 capsules, lymphatic 1 capsules, stomach and bowel formula, another lymphatic liquid, either lymphatic 4. With you, I would take lymph node 2. After you're done with lymph node 1, get lymph node 2. At the same time, take lymphatic 1 capsules. Get into that bowel and clean that bowel up. That'll reach into the hepatic or liver and pancreatic areas as well. Real important, sweetheart. You take the parasite M for a while, get that fungus out of you, get the moles to fall off your skin. You want to make sure your moles start falling off, but go after those adrenals, but go after the pituitary and the thyroid and parathyroid. That's vital stuff, honey. Your endocrine glands control every single thing, so really want to go after that. Can I drink tea? Absolutely. A dandelion blend? Absolutely. And and dandy's mine too. I'm a dandy man. Dandelion, incredible. I mean, all these things are incredible. And when you start studying herbs, it's like, oh my God, this is incredible. Dandelion, oh my God. Oh, comfrey, look at comfrey. Oh, look at that. Oh, golden seal, my God, look at golden. And it's just like that for me. It's like, oh, I'm in a candy store, because now we have tools. We have good tools. We have tools that don't hurt us. We have tools that don't have the bizarre side effects as like killing you, like the pharmaceuticals. So we have some good tools here. And so fall in love and get passionate with the botanicals, because they are the gift from the gods. And they really help in this case. You'll see the difference there. How do I get the glandular for the thyroid? Call up the guys here in the office there, dear. I'm sure I'll have more questions. Well, review, dear one. And I apologize. This is your second request, but again, we're getting there. We've covered fasting. Here's another question sheet, and then we'll be able to get to you each one specifically, so thanks for bearing with us. But again, these are good trainings for every one of us, because these are standard cases that we get constantly out there, and vital to understand what it is. And after a while, it'll be like this to you. Be like this to you. Oh, that's acidosis. Oh, your lymph system isn't filtering properly through the kidneys. That's how simple this is. Fortunately or unfortunately, this is quite simple. And we've made things, because of the mind, quite complex. Remember, in a society, we revere the intellectual, the academic. And yet, I've seen some pretty smart people that was academically not so high. So judging an individual soul through academics at this level isn't really in the scheme of things. That's where we go wrong. And so we have to get off of this academic bull crap and start getting more simplistic. You'll start growing spiritually, and you'll start feeling a lot more free, because seeking the intellectual side of truth is an impossible dream, because there's always a plus factor in creation. You'll never be able to figure it out through the mind, but as you view it and as you see it, it's all right there. It's all right there. The mind couldn't see it. All right, so this one is a chronic fatigue / adrenals reacting to sugar / no appetite / building. Now, I was reading this. This is Katie. She's 21. She's been chronically fatigued. And I remember she writing this before. She's been chronic fatigue since she was 5 years old. That means she was born with major adrenal gland weakness. Well, that means by the time she's 21, her lymph system is probably a mess. Even if you ate right, now you're going to see a lot of raw foodists coming in to see us with problems, because just eating right nowadays is not enough. It's vital that we shift to the raw food diet, or at least 80% raw foods, but that isn't enough. We have to detoxify. We have to go back and fix some things. Can't just start eating raw because just raw. Remember, we talked about this a lot before. Raw doesn't fix everything. I used to think it did. As a fruitarian in my life, I thought that'd fix everything. And I realized as I started seeing people and working with people on a one-to-one basis and through the years, I said, we need tools. We need more tools. And, of course, we need to learn a little more about fasting. And that's why the fruits, the berries, and the melons, the closest door to fasting, water fasting, there is. And in most cases should be done for several months before you water fast, my opinion. In today's world, I think you should spend 6 months on raw foods, cleaning out, and then play with some water fasting. Really, if you want to, go ahead, but I'm just saying, safety and everything else, these are powerful ways. Let me tell you, fasting, water fasting is very powerful. And you don't want to break up too much too quick, or you're not going to feel good. And it could dump some blood sugars and blood pressures in an already low syndrome. And that means passing out, going to hospitals and things like that. And I don't think we need to go there. We need to build, clean, and like she was saying, build a little bit first and detoxify a little bit first. Get some of these toxins out of you first the proper way, where they're buffered with chemistry. Because when you do a water fast, there's nothing being buffered with chemistry. Plus, it isn't a true hydration, so you're still in an anionic environment, meaning a coagulated environment, a dehydrated environment because of the lymph. And just drinking water and fasting, it's good. It helps to pull on the lymph, but far better if you spend some time in true hydration and focusing on adrenals and kidneys and kind of get all that going, and then tear it up with water fasting. I think you'll do better. And remember to break fasts properly. Never break a fast with anything but fruit or fruit juices, especially these longer fasters. You want to be very careful how you break fasts. Caution to the wind. Been there. And remember, McFadden died from breaking a fast with boiled potatoes. Breaking a fast with who would ever break a fast with boiled potatoes? But this is what some of the greats have done to pave the way so we could learn. I tell you, when you go back and read some of these old books, and I'll have as much as I can at the school for you, but these are the old books around the 1800s and 1900s, these smart people that just tore it up. And they just really exposed the protein myth. Back in the 1800s, they exposed the protein myth. And yet we just keep carrying that like a ball and chain around our neck. It's amazing what man will do to eat meat. The claims he makes and all the crap. And grain's the same way. The claims he makes and all the crap, and grain's the same way. Okay, so her case is, I have no appetite, and the people, raw food advocates / doctors, on the retreat said I was missing something in my diet, and that I need to start building energy using things like bee pollen, goji berries, spirulina, coca, seaweed, to give my body energy and life. But this should be, this goes against what you say, as you don't believe in nutrition. Well, that's where sometimes I think we hear things that are not quite true. It's not that I don't believe in nutrition. I totally believe in nutrition. but not mounds of it, not stacks of it, not more is better concepts. You don't see animals loading up with mega food because they're sick. When they're sick, they don't eat at all. So the idea, but I will say that in today's world, with the weak adrenals and everything else, that's why it's important to get into the fruits. You're still going to feel fatigued. If you have weak adrenals and you go on this high energetic diet of fruits and berries and milk, there is no higher energetic diet to it except the God force itself. But people start on these diets and feel more tired, more weak, because they don't have the stimulants of the meat. They don't have the stimulants of the proteins and the epinephrines, blah, 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 blah. So therefore, they feel tired and weak. It takes a little while to recycle out of that and wake the adrenal glands up for lifetime use of meats and the constant ingestion of neurotransmitters, making your adrenal glands not produce its own. And if you look at this, you'll see where man has consumed slaughterhouse meat for quite some time. And like I said, if you've ever been to a slaughterhouse, it's not good. It's disturbing to the psychic. You can feel the epinephrine. It's revolting, and it's just disgusting. But I grew up with slaughterhouses because of farming, and then I years ago I worked at the telephone company and had to deal with phones in slaughterhouses, and so I got to see, and then I knew about raw, and I was not a meat eater, and that was disturbing to me. But when I was young growing up, you don't know. But even when I was young growing up, it was nasty to go to a slaughterhouse. It was just disturbing to my whole psychic always. So, but we have ingested so much of this epinephrine that we don't produce our own adequately. So you are going to have a lull. Anything you can hit with the adrenals, you do it, including the dandelions, greens, and flowers. The roots are for the hepatic, liver, and pancreatic. So you're going to have a little low in there, and some people lose their appetites because the body wants to fast. So do your best. Your fruits and your berries and your melons have the most magnetic energy of all foods. So those are the ones you want to ingest. You know, you have to consider this idea of nutrition. You have to consider the 3 phases of nutrition: digestion, absorption, and utilization. And utilization of nutrition requires mostly adrenal steroids. How interesting. Calcium, of course, is a parathyroid. So you can't just say that I'm going to take nutrition, because you have to make sure your pancreas is breaking down your carbohydrates, your liver, your fats. You don't get to stay away from protein, so you don't care about hydrochloric acid so much. And then you want to make sure you have absorption where there's interstitial lymphatic constipation like never before out there. I rarely see an eye that doesn't have some degree of malabsorption. So cleaning up that gut and the lymph system is prime before you're going to absorb the bulk of what you're eating and breaking down. And then there's that little utilization factor. So most naturopaths are lost in deficiencies forgetting utilization factors. You got to correct those before you can holler deficiency. And then if you're eating a well-rounded diet of fruits, berries, and melons, and most of them organic, if you want to supplement like a superfood blend, okay, that's adequate nutrition. Nutrition doesn't always yield you energy, let me tell you. Look at vegetables. A big salad is full of nutrition, but if I eat a big salad, sometimes I just want to sit back here and take a little snooze because it's complicated to digest, and I like high energy. And if you're used to high energy, those foods that take a while and take it out of you, you're very aware of that. Some of those that are used to no energy, a salad gives them energy. But at another level, salad takes it away from you. This is all about levels and where you're at energetically and how you're channeling and dealing with the current. And so you'll see that. But I see here... the berries, goji berries, okay. The cocoa, that's okay. Seaweed's okay. But at the same time, you know, when you're wanting to detoxify spirulina, again, I'm not into single-celled organisms. It's up to you. I don't care. But again, when you're detoxifying, stay away from the proteins, the single-celled animals, or the multiple-celled animals. Don't have to eat animals. Even if it's a form of palm scum or Algae. People are into algae, and I have to laugh because it's simple palm scum. Just go to a stagnant palm and clean off the top of it and put it in a drink and have fun. Ugh. Our sauna. So here's some questions. What should I do about my appetite? Stay with the fruits, berries, and melons and don't worry about it. Are saunas bad for me at this stage? No, but make sure you have adequate energy because heat pulls energy out of you. You'll see this in MS cases, neurological cases, quads and paraplegics. Whenever you're a neurological case, acids are debilitating even more because you're highly acidic. And that's the proof of that. When you're a neurological case, you're extreme acidosis issue here. And so when you introduce heat, which is acidic, you start to really lose nerve energy. When I turn down the air conditioner, you're feeling a lot better. That's alkaline. Cold is alkaline. So you can see how that fits. So if you're real fatigued, I would stay away from the saunas. And the same thing with cold sheet treatments. Be careful with cold sheet treatments, because they're good, but you need to have some energy before that. If you're too fatigued and your blood pressure is real low, and you do a cold sheet treatment or a hot sauna, you could pass out doing that. Not really in the scheme of things. Really, just build yourself up there. Rest, relax. Sip your fruit juices or something. You can do that as well. Definitely keep yourself hydrated if you don't have an appetite. Keep down the fruit juices minimally, and just to keep yourself hydrated. Keep the kidneys filtering, or attempting to filter. Work on the herbs. Get your adrenals up. And that's a case where you can do herbs with some fruit juices and go quite a way. Because remember, all the herbs are full of nutrition. They're just full of nutrition. We don't cook anything here. Before you said my adrenals are probably not metabolizing the sugars, therefore wouldn't it be better to stop the fruit until they can handle the sugar? What would you replace it then? If you're not metabolizing, and this is where the problem comes, if you're not metabolizing sugars, what would you replace? See, because fruits and vegetables are your sugars. Those are your carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are carbon-based constituents, which are your sugars. That's fruits and vegetables. Starch is complex sugars, which is going to be your grains. So when you're looking at this and you say stop fruit and stop sugar, you'd be at Atkins. That would mean you would have to consume high proteins, and then your health would go right down into the dumpers even more. No. You don't stop sugars at all, ever. You have to understand this is ATP, adenosine triphosphate. This energy is mandatory or your cells will go goodbye. And you don't want your cells. Your nervous system's just weak. You don't want your cells to go goodbye, then it's a lot different story. That's not in the plan to kill cells. It's in the plan to make cells healthy. So you need sugar, and fruit sugar is the easiest, most efficient sugar, simple sugar nature makes. Babies love it, frugivores, primates, even a herbivore will take an apple over a piece of grass. My horse would love an apple or a carrot or a little sugar cube. Not that we would ever give sugar cubes to our horses or nothing. Before you said my probably weak, therefore wouldn't it be better? No. Otherwise it is causing my skin to break out and possibly a fungal infection in my body. Sweetheart, you got to get rid of that kind of thinking. That's inappropriate thinking. That's what's out there, that sugar feeds candida and all that crap. Candida is a fungal family. These are microbes involved in fermentation. They're there because you're not metabolizing sugars, and they're helping you. They're the ones that are actually helping you, but can be problematic like any overgrowth of a microbe. They all can be problematic not in their focus and their job, in their numbers. And the problem is with you and your adrenal glands not metabolizing the sugars. That's what you got to fix, the causative factor. Not try to avoid sugar, because that would mean vegetables too. They're sugar too. Even though you don't feel sweet when you eat a salad, that's all glucose. An inferior simple sugar because it needs insulin as a hormone carrier. Fructose doesn't require that. I don't care what the theory is out there. You see it all the time in diabetes type 1, all the time, where insulin is a factor. Now, type 2 and hypo is not insulin problems. It is sugar metabolism problems. So you got to lose that idea about your skin. That's your lymph system. You break out on the skin, that has nothing to do with sugar. That's your lymph system. You're just seeing a reaction to that. Remember, fruits are the most aggressive lymphatic herbs or fruits or foods. I'll get it out on the planet. Now, my B12 went low when I started going wrong over a year ago. This is when I started getting the foggy head, also depressed moods. That's because you ducked the neurotransmitters. That's because you stopped neurotransmitter consumption, and therefore you saw the downing of the adrenal glands. The adrenals just crashed on you, and therefore you saw the B12s, you saw the fog, all this stuff. It isn't B12 supports all that. It's just that you dumped your adrenals, which is common. When you come off of meat, your adrenals are going to dump because you're not taking epinephrine anymore. So you're going to dump and you're going to feel fatigued. I have people coming in here all the time saying, I got to have meat. I have any energy. I have to have meat for energy. Well, you must understand that the body does not use protein for energy. And if it did, you're in trouble. That's like being up in Alaska in the winter. You have a snowstorm coming that left 70 feet of snow. You're in a little cabin. It's surrounded your cabin. You can't get out. You have no power, and it's below zero. So you burn the furniture in the fireplace, you start burning the curtains on the wall, and you burned everything in the house, and there's nothing left but the structure of the house. And so you start tearing down the walls on the inside to burn for energy. That's what burning protein is. You are now burning your own structure. You don't burn protein for energy. That's a sugar or a fat broken down into a sugar syndrome. So you got to understand that sort of thing that's going on there. I'm not into the B12s. You do what you want. Lastly, I read a book on urine therapy, and it said it works like telling our bodies what is out of balance and giving it make nutrients, as the fluid is nearly water with 2% mineral hormones and 2% urea. This is countless people who cured cancer and other ailments. Bull crap. Bull crap. Sorry. Bull crap. Not drinking urine did they cure cancer and all this. Bull crap. Nope. Nope. And these are people where their urine wasn't filtering the acids out. You don't want to drink your excrements. You don't want to eat your sewage. This is stupid. These are people around the world that can't heal nothing. And I've heard the urine therapy filters around our society about every 6 months. And when your kidneys are filtering and full of sediment, go ahead and drink it if you want. That's your acid waste that you work so hard to get out of. You can put them back in you if you want. I mean, this is all stupid stuff. Drop the urine therapy. That's ridiculous. You want, of course, I agree, most people aren't filtering through their urine, so they're not getting the acid. So, yeah, you could probably eat a lot of raw foods, and most of your electrolytes are going to be in your urine, so you could drink it. Jeez, I find man to stoop pretty low. I do. I'm sorry. As a spiritual person, drinking your urine is just not in the scheme of things. Jeez, I find man to stoop pretty low. I do. I'm sorry. As a spiritual person, drinking your urine is just not in the scheme of things. Just don't get that. This is countless people. Yeah, there's a lot of puffed up ideas that people cured things from that. But sorry, cancer is a whole beast of a whole nother color. This is damaged cells by acid. You're not going to drink urine and move your lymph and everything else. I do not think that is beneficial, sweetheart. Not on your case. I'm just saying, don't drink urine or don't eat your stool. I'm sure someone out there thinks you should eat your stool. That way you're just getting the byproducts of what you've eaten, so it can't be bad for you. I mean, this is just all just low thinking stuff, in my opinion. I'm continuing to get colonics to clean my bowel until your herbs arrive. Go for it. Katie, love from New Zealand, babe. Well, wait a minute, we're Ohio and New Zealand. Where you live? This is a woman that lives in many places simultaneously. This is an out-of-body traveler, and she has 4 or 5 bodies she's running simultaneously. Woohoo! Love it. Now, sorry about that, but boy, when I hear so much of this urine therapy and all this crap like that, I just think, How low have we stooped? All right, so I'll tell you what, I'll give you a flask of urine, and I'll have a big bowl of blueberries, bananas, fresh mangoes, kiwi, stuff like that. So you drink that, and I'll eat my bowl of fruit. Oh, man. So you guys are riling me up today. Now, this is M Carbone 4. Thank you, sweetheart, for all your comments. She loves making vegan ice creams. There's nothing like strawberry and bananas are my favorite combinations, and you make that into an ice cream. Oh my God, I love that. I can't imagine why we don't have just fruit ice cream. Why do we have dairy type of ice cream or soy ice cream and stuff like that when fruit ice cream is so good? I don't get it. I really don't get it. You don't have to add any sweetener to fruit ice cream. If you did, you throw dates or something in there, you know. I don't get that. Very good. I play with some chocolate and vanilla. Mango too. You guys are incredible. I love it. You guys are so great. Oh, this is Oxygen Pum. Look at that cute little dog. Isn't that a cute little dog? He's that cute little dog. I tell you what. This is Dear Dr. Morse. Many thanks for your information videos. Thank you, sweetheart. You're welcome. We are now a high fruit family and feeling much better for it. And you see this all the time, you know, and I tell you, getting that fruit back, that's the key. And we've got to inspire all these growers in all these countries to really be proud of their fruit. You know, because this is the gift of nature and of God's. You've got to, and you know, we should prize fruit. And who can grow the biggest blueberry organically, of course. I wonder if we could make a hydroponic or an oceanponic blueberry that big. Can you imagine slicing into a blueberry that big? Woohoo! Well, I'll take it to Findhorn. Have you ever heard of Findhorn? That's over near your neck of the woods, Scotland. Even though you're, you know, further over. I realize that. Well, they grow vegetables. They grow lettuce this big in Findhorn. Huge. Because the lady works with the divas and the gnomes. And you can go over, there's a university on her property now. You can go over and learn communication, and just the growth factor of the food is like insane. Incredible. I love it. I love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. We are now a high fruit family. I have noticed that when I have accidentally cut myself, my blood is very bright red and doesn't stop flowing for a long time. You're not there yet. When you get there on a fruit diet, you cut yourself, it won't bleed at all. And that's where you want to get. You want to get to when you cut yourself, it doesn't hurt, and there's no blood whatsoever. Now, that's where you're at. As a fruitarian, that's where I was at. I could cut myself in here. It wouldn't hurt. You could take the skin and pull it back. No pain, no blood, gone the next day or two. Boom. If you read Arnold Ehret, he talks about that. And you can get there, and so you're bleeding too much. You might want to look at your platelets and stuff, maybe do a spleen formula to make sure you're getting adequate platelets. I don't know, get a blood workup maybe and look at that and see. My blood is very bright. Okay. Other family members have noticed this too. Is this a good thing? No. No, not really. I mean, the fact the blood is red, bright red, yes, good. Doesn't smell. See if your blood smells. The more putrefaction, the more meat eater a person is, your blood stinks. Your whole body stinks, but your blood will stink when you eat proteins. When you don't eat proteins, your blood will be pure. Matter of fact, your body fluids all start to smell like the food you're eating. And I'll just leave it at that. Other body member, let me see, before high fruit, my blood was much thicker and stopped bleeding a lot quicker too. Well, now this isn't the fruit, although it is getting your blood more in a true base chemistry scenario where you're getting away from the clotting, not the artificial clotting factors, you know, like the gluten clotting factors where the blood cells stick to each other. The little, you know, bringing that pH just a little, you know, we talk about acid and base, but just to swing that blood a little toward the acid side creates a whole bunch of problems to the blood and the blood cells. Because remember, the more acidic, the more coagulation. And that's what you see. And you see that in blood clots. You see that in looking at blood work on the dark screen where the blood cells are clumping or clustering or following each other like a choo-choo train. This is where these enzymatic-rich foods come in, the flavonoid-rich foods come in, and help to clean the blood and things like that. But you still should clot. Matter of fact, like I said, on a high fruitarian lifestyle, you shouldn't bleed at all. So I don't know, clean up the body, keep cleaning up the body, clean up the spleen, and let's see how you do with that. I always thought this was a sign of good health, not thick blood. The thicker the blood, the less ability to move around the body. If you'll look at a piece of tissue, sometime when they're throwing it up either on the TV from a pharmaceutical or something, you'll notice, you'll see the cells and you'll see the blood, which is only 1/4 of the interstitial fluid, and you'll see that it's moving real fast. And it's almost like a snake. And yet then you'll see the lymph fluids not moving hardly at all. A big difference between the ability to move. The lymph fluid should be thick. The blood should be thin. You got to move nutrition around the body in less than a minute. So you really have to have good moving blood. And of course, enzymatic rich foods, a true base chemistry blood, you're going to have all that factors happening, and you're going to clean it up. But you got to clean the liver, clean the spleen. If you're not, I don't know if you had a blood workup lately, check your platelets and all that to see if you're clotting factors. You can work on your bone marrow. There's all kinds of fun things you can do to make the body healthy. And that's what I would do. This is Indan3. Love your picture. Could drinking wine be substituted for grape eating during a fast? Well, I suppose if it was organic wine that you made, I don't know. You know what? I never drink wine on a fast. I don't drink wine hardly at all unless it's, like I said, 20 or 30 or 40 or 50-year-old tawny port from Portugal. Although Mutt Lang bought us a bottle of wine once in France, and it was a little bitty bottle of wine. It was only about this tall. He never would tell me how much it cost, but it was only this tall, a little small bottle. And to come to find out that this winery only makes about 10 of those bottles a year. Each grape is hand-picked for that bottle, and or for that setting. And I never tasted anything like that. Wine wouldn't be a word I would use for it. And even the wine person, the French, taking the cork going, I mean, it was like my. It must have been $50,000 or $20,000 for that little bottle of wine, because that was even this was one of the top-rated chefs of the world, and it was unbelievable. That was good. That I could think you could drink that during a fast, but I don't know. Interesting question. Oh, this is I'll say Etienken. I never can get that, guy. I have had major acne problems all throughout my life, and nothing I've tried has ever worked until I found your channel. Oh, thank you, my friend. There's so many people with acne and skin problems on this channel. It's amazing. It's just all over the place. You poor guys have suffered for so long. I can't believe it. I've been drinking your Hillall tea, eating fruits, and taking herbs for kidneys and skin, and my acne is almost gone. Woohoo! Woohoo! And keep going until it is gone, because if it isn't gone, your lymph is still backed up, and you don't want to play that game. You want to get this fixed and get it fixed now. You're done. You won't break down any tissue. You won't have the basal cells, the squamous cells. You'll get all this cleaned up, and you are good to go. Sad you had to spend your life dealing with this. The proof is in the pudding. Good, that's my saying too. Thank you. I do have one question. My doctor told me my creatinine levels were high about 8 months ago, and I don't have the extra money to get it checked right now. You might be able to walk into a lab and just ask for a creatinine check at a minimal $10 or something, maybe, bag them or something. Most labs now you can walk right in. You don't need a script for them. Do you think that my acne clearing up is a good sign that my kidneys are filtering and my creatinine levels are back to normal? Well, probably coming back. Now, that is in your face. Creatinine levels, kidney levels, absolutely. You want to get those creatinine levels back down. You really don't want to stop until you're 0.5, 0.6. You don't want to be, and when your physician's telling you that, you got to be up around 2 or higher. My guess is, unless he's a good doc and he says, "Listen, you've hit 1 and you're in trouble." Most docs don't do that. But so, yeah, make sure, my friend, you get this creatinine down to normal. Get your kidneys filtering. It'll pull all that acidosis out of the kidneys. The kidneys will start repairing themselves. You'll start moving the lymph. Of course, your skin's clearing up. The fact that you see your skin's clearing up means you are bringing that down. Keep bringing it down, my friend, until you're down to 0.5, 0.6, and you'll be good. And you won't end up on dialysis, because that's where you're going. And you do not want to go to dialysis no matter what you do. So definitely take care of this problem, and we'll help you until you're done. Oh, this is always in the now. Beautiful, beautiful. I just love that. Just beautiful. Hi, Chris. Just wanted to say a huge thank you. Well, I got to give this to Chris. Much love from New Zealand. Chris loves your praise. He's one of those guys that's inferiority, is meek, and he doesn't look you in the eye type of person, and you just keep building him up, getting him stronger, and he'll get stronger, pull himself out of it. Oh, this is NDAN3 again, Dr. Morse. What do you think of the herb? Oh, I've never heard of this one. Shilajit. I mean, I've seen it written before, but I've just never, ever studied this herb at all, ever. Ayurvedic herb, I take it. I've never, not aware of that. I'll look it up and do some research for you. I'm sure you already have, but I tell you, there's so many great herbs out there. It's amazing what we have and what we haven't discovered and what's out there. And it's like, and what we can do with the ones we have. The thing I love herbs is you can do 10 different things with one herb. It's amazing. Amazing, amazing, amazing. This is a lemonade cleanse and herbs. This is 8001 Diane. You never know what that 8001 means to them, Interesting stuff. Someday I'll learn all your guys' stuff. But don't expect me to remember it. Remember, I don't use my mind anymore. It's sitting over there in a chair. See, it's just sitting over there, and it's not going to be used until I need it. God, how I love, oh, thank you. How I love you too, dear. Thank you so much. You guys will never know. I just can't tell you how much you have helped me out. Good. I hope so. I tell you what, how simple all this is. I know it's work, and I know a lot of you guys are suffering out there, but hang in there, because you will get well. Promise. Promise. Now, this is, I'm on your protocol for a lot of cholesterol in my head. Oh, yeah. As per my eye pictures. Well, yeah, just get that out of there. Just move that lymph, and that cholesterol will pull right out of there, and then everything's good. This is where you got to take care of business right now. You get in it, you tear it up right now, and then you're good. And you got the rest of your life, because most people don't realize 20, 30 years from now, you're not going to be thinking the same. And most people do not maintain a high level of fruitarian thinking or fasting 20, 30 years from now. It's just one of those things. I wasn't able to, and there have been a few, but I still have been able, of all the people around here, to stay high raw. Even though I'm fat, and I have put on weight with different grains and different things through the life. I got addicted to sweet tea and stuff just to keep the nerves down. I mean, it's been a ride. Been a ride. And we all go through our hard times, tough times. We all fight the fight, and I'm a governmental fighter. I believe in honesty, integrity. I don't believe in corruption. It comes back on you. This is karma land. Do unto others, because the whips back. It's all physics. There's no voodoo. It's all, Jesus said it too. You reap what you sow. Everybody said it. It's not enough preacher people are teaching it, not enough priests, and not enough spiritual people. Now, in India, you learn, in the more of the, the consciousness understanding people, they understand karma, the whip of the dragon tail. Not good. I am currently doing an orange juice fast. I talked to a lady. Now, this would be her 202, 203 day of juice fasting. I talked to her 2 days ago, and she was in her 201. That's Babe and Earl. 201. Today would be 203 day of juice fasting. Is this lady good? This lady is kicking butt. Now she's doing juices, mainly the orange. She finds that the most pulling. The citruses do the most lymphatic pulling is what we've been talking about. She is pumping a couple of green drinks a day. 203 days of juice fasting, and she's not about to stop. I mean, this is just incredible. I mean, this is what, but she's bringing it in. It's working on her. Her body won't even tolerate the herbs now. She's so up there. It's amazing. I'm really proud of that. So this, Diane's doing orange juice, grape, eating fast, and herbs. Perfect. I was just wondering if I did lemonade with the honey or maple syrup and ate some grapes. Is that just good? Absolutely. That's perfect. Absolutely. Because I'd rather not do a laxative. Well, do a stomach and bowel formula. They're not laxatives, so you'll clean, and at the same time, you'll eliminate stool up to about the 20th day, and you'll be good. I'm out of the stomach and bowel. Oh, yeah. I take the herbs along with the lemonade. You could or you could not. I'd probably advise the stomach and bowel one because it'll continue to clean the gut while you're fasting. It'll keep pulling the mucus out too. And I think that's an appropriate thing to do, absolutely. Much love to you and the Cocoa Girl too. I have 4 Yorkies at home who just love to play with. Oh, that's neat. Neat. Bunch of neat people, aren't they? Yep. This is Laurina, Lorena 411. Hi, sweetheart. Hi, Dr. Morris. I want to start off by saying how thankful. Well, thank you. And I thank you all for joining this channel. Hopefully we have a good, strong channel, a good bunch of people that are full of love, all you spiritual beings. I just love you all. And just make a strong bond, and we'll change the globe here. And keep in mind, it's not just this planet that you are changing. I'll leave it at that. Although I've been many of your videos in I've suffered, thank you, sweetheart. I've suffered most of my life with mercury toxicity, and only recently found out that was the reason for all my fatigue and depression. Now, again, getting up into the head, that's where mercury loves to stay. Getting up and detoxing the lymph system, you're going to detox the blood with it. Blood detoxification goes along with it. You can just eat fruit, berries, and melons and clean the blood. But the lymph is where most of the heavy metals and everything is stored. The blood's not going to carry things. The blood's going to say, I don't want it either. And that's the lymph. So moving lymph is real important to you, and taking care of your GI tract. If you remember that, always work on your GI tract in correlation with the head. You'll be successful, keeping in mind that kidneys and adrenals are always a focus. Always. I never not focus on those 2 areas of the body. This could also be effective why the depression might not be the mercury causing the depression. It could be the lymph suppressing the parathyroid or pituitary that's causing that. Might not be the mercury at all. The body might have that cased in mucus and congestion. I developed thyroid problems. There you go. I think what you have is lymphatic problems, my dear one, which would hold the toxicity as well. So you got a double-edged sword hitting you. You got mercury, the acid mercury, and then you've got the acids from the cells themselves, and it obviously has suppressed the endocrine glands here. You got to get that up there. I'd probably definitely hit the pituitary 1-in-1, cytotrophin, definitely the parathyroid. Pick that up, pull yourself out of depression, start utilizing calcium again. The moles, of course, this is going to be your adrenal glands again, but that would be in relationship to the lymph. Here's brown spots, which you said liver, over the past year, and I've started fasting this. Good. I also plan on purchasing the herbs. Good. What caused the age spots? Probably, you got fungal problems causing spots. You've got liver spots. You got all kinds of. You got your pigmentation spots from your pituitary. So pituitary, a lot of things are linking me here to your pituitary, suppressing your thyroid and parathyroid minimally. If you were having female problems where you were, say, your menses wasn't on time, I'd be jumping on pituitary for sure. try to correlate other factors that relate to pituitary. Oh, and I have green eyes with a very golden center around the pupil. That's sulfur, golden. That's sulfur, absolutely. So that would be why probably the moles are popping on you. That's a fungal family with the sulfur. We've talked a lot about the sulfur. Get that out of there, dear one. Probably, and again, a connection to all this. I'd say just as important, even the depression and the fatigue could not be coming from mercury at all. It could be coming from high fungal problems, because that golden bough is sulfur, and sulfur, I've said this many times, and I've just seen it all these years, that when sulfur is in the body stored like that, you're fighting heavy fungal problems. It's like sulfurs are an aphrodisiac to the fungal community, and that's not good. So it's hard to get the fungus completely out of someone until you get the sulfur. Well, sulfur doesn't like to go anywhere fast. It's like a glue. I've always called sulfur super glue because it's so hard to get out of people. It's amazing. And I have a lot of friends that are medical doctors, and they have sulfur in their eyes, and they know the problem now. A good friend of mine, he called a few months ago and said, I just can't find an antidote to sulfur. And it's just detox is the only antidote I know to that. Brown would be chronic bowels. But again, I'm at the bowels. I'm back here, related to here again, honey. What are green eyes all about? They're all about the lymph system and not moving very well fast. But in due respect, they gave you sulfur probably as a little girl, or you got it with your mother. And this has created a serious lymphatic drainage problem for you, and maybe even an absorption problem of nutrients. Also could cause you gas and an acid or IBS type of feeling as well. Real possible there. I've loved some of the vids explaining the iris in depth. We're going to do another one getting into iridology a little deeper, because I just love using the videos to use as an educational tool. I'm doing this instead of writing my books now, because people can understand it more, I think. Reading is one thing, but I do have to finish some books that I've been writing. Ugh. I've checked out other vids out on this topic, but I only trust you. Thank you, sweetie. Thank you, Coco. I have a Shih Tzu as well. Oh, and she's got a Shih Tzu as well, and he's 16. Holy moly! And the love of my life. Thank you. Hugs to you, sweetheart, and kiss your dog for me. I love those little Shih Tzus. They're so cute. Aren't they cute? Yeah. Hello, Dr. Morse. Oh, this is Deb Blast 1. Thank you for your wonderful channel. Thank you, sweetheart, for tuning in. Love you all, man. You're all just an impressive bunch of souls there. Kicking it up. You're feeling better. Keep kicking it up. Even though you might go through some ups and downs, don't beat yourself up. The process of detox isn't always a wonderful thing, but it is in the long run. It gives you the remedy that you're looking for. And keeping it simple keeps your life simple, keeps your spirituality blossoming, and the bottom line is you. Always you. And your love for yourself and all life, not in an egotistical way, but in just a conscious way. Just by being conscious and awake in the moment is a stream of love. There's no forcing love. There's no wanting to give love. It just springs from you like water from a natural spring, because that's a supreme being. And if you look at love at one level, you will find that it is just consciousness. How interesting. I've noticed my thyroid area very puffy. This is Deb Blast 1. And my skin looking inflamed around it. Ooh. I took my basal temperature. It was 95.5, 95.3, 96.4. Ook! And 197.1. Take the 97.1. Wow. Well, you have some dump in there. You seem like you're swinging a little bit here, dear one. Probably, again, the lymph system, maybe a little pituitary going on there as well. Also, I've noticed that my skin over my entire body is quite dry. Yeah, you're dehydrated. I have a very hard time trying to lose weight. There's your adrenals again, sweetheart. And being so acidic, you're probably holding the water again. How I know if I should be taking a thyroid glandular. Good question. The eyes would show that. And so, but it's not going to hurt if you take a pituitary glandular 1 at 1 a.m. and 1 p.m. and then on top of that take a little thyroid cytotrophin, say 3 times a day. That's safe. It's real low dosage, and just see how you feel. If you feel like you need more power, you could up your thyroid. You're already hitting the pituitary quite well. 1 and 1 is adequate, and you could up with your thyroid until you felt like you needed to back down. Real simple, real easy to deal with. I have a very hard time trying to see, how do I know if I should, okay, I read that. How can you tell if you are utilizing calcium? Several ways. Spider veins, varicose veins, hemorrhoids, petechia, bruising easy, depression, wrinkles, prolapsing, sagging of the skin, of the breast, sagging of the uterus or bladder, weak sphincters, mitral valve prolapses, heart murmurs, in other words, heart arrhythmias, easy to fracture bones, augmented bones, all these things like that, like scoliosis and factors like that. All these are symptoms of a lack of calcium utilization, but also the withdrawal or the pulling of calcium out of the respective skeletal or connective tissue. And that is primary acidosis. That's your body fighting, remember, acids, cholesterol and calcium, body's main antacids. So you're going to see aspects of your structure, but also reaches into your depression. If you're a woman having babies, postpartum depression, an excellent example of a parathyroid weakness. So all these factors show up as a parathyroid weakness, and probably a bunch more, really, if you really tore it apart. They don't come to me right now. Thanks for your question, dear one. Good questions. Good questions. All of you guys are getting some good questions. Here's always in the now again. I love that, always in the now. I mean, that's another thing. Be here now, always in the now. Sometimes you have to repeat this and repeat this until you can keep pulling yourself away from your mind and find yourself in yourself again, in the now. There's no looking at yourself, there's no my soul, there's no me over there, me over here. It's me in the now. And it is just now. And then the me goes away, and it just is. A real sense of conscious awareness without the me in it. And it's funny, you have to lose the me to get to the me. You have to lose the I to get to the big I. And that's one of the biggest tests you can go through in initiations or in your spiritual growth, is when the test comes of the etheric worlds of the ego, and whether you can let your ego go to be all that you can be, so to speak. So you have to let that little ego fella sit in the other corner with the mind in the other corner and use it when you need it. But to enter the higher realms of God, you have to let your little self go. You can no longer exist as an identification of a self. You must just simply live in the eternal presence of the now, and you will become the eternal presence of the now. Let me see. Always in the now. Just a quick note on your hawthorn berry syrup. Yummy, yummy, yummy. I used to make jam the traditional way. Well, there you go. Cooking for hours through without the added sugar. But years ago, I realized that I can make it raw, too. Yeah, we'll try telling some of these herb companies that I asked to make my stuff raw. And it's like, I simply blend all the berries in my blender, then spread it on a Telflex sheet and dehydrate it at 105 degrees. Good, you're just below that, so I don't destroy the enzymes. Once it's dry, I put it back into the blender and whiz it up until it's all powdery. Whenever we fancy some jam, I mix some powder with a little water. This girl has got it down. This is a New Zealand woman. She's a woman. Absolutely. Good take, sweetheart. Absolutely. I love that. My hawthorn bush only had a handful of berries this year. What's up with that? The trees aren't giving like they used to here. And the berries, I don't know what's going on. I hope this isn't an indication. I haven't seen any blooms on my citrus trees this year. It's like, what's going on? You think these chemtrails are putting something into the air that's suppressing growth of trees? Boy, that would be Well, you know, be time for an old-fashioned hanging. That's not very spiritual, but, you know, you kind of want to, because, I mean, they're killing our food sources. Oh, this is 8001, Diane. Just wondering if you can take herbs while drinking them. Oh, yeah. Yep, absolutely, dear one. Absolutely. GMO. Oh, surely not. This is MacNut420. Hey there, man. I'm sure I've seen all your videos. Oh, thanks, man. I bless all of you if you can sit around and listen to all my videos. That's a lot of videos. My heart goes out to you. I can't imagine you enduring me through 700 videos. I mean, you guys get gold stars for doing that, man. I'm telling you. Don't recall you ever talking about GMO. Well, there's no need to talk about them. I mean, this is, I'm not a Monsanto fan at all. And just another bunch of mad people that have no clue. I just find what they've been up to has just been just totally... Finally, they kind of let off on suing some of these farmers, but you know what? This is bad. And these federal judges, oh, I just want to puke. I had an argument with an attorney the other day. Well, she's not an attorney yet. She's almost graduating, and she thinks we have a fair and just system. And I said that you've never been in front of federal judges, have you? And she said no. And I said, well, I'll give you some cases you can go up in front of one with, and I'll show you how corrupt they can be. I mean, this is really bad stuff here. But this Monsanto, I mean, when a judge can rule in favor of Monsanto for the wind blowing some of their seeds onto an organic farmland and then sue the organic farmer, and the judge rule in favor of Monsanto, that's a crooked judge. That's a bad judge. And that's what's out there. You know, I felt this farmer got really sued bad by Monsanto and had to pay him a ton of money. It wasn't his fault. I mean, and Monsanto was claiming their seeds blew on his land, and he was growing some of their seeds. I mean, this is where we as a people need to stop and take these people out and behind the barn and give them a little butt whipping. I mean, that's what we do in the olden days. I mean, this is kind of insane now. This is just kind of way out of control, and now we have to make them be held accountable in some way, whether lawfully or whatever, but people need to be held accountable. Now, God will, just by karma, but still, I mean, when so many beautiful souls are being impacted by the few insane people, something's got to stop, because there's so many poor people suffering so bad right now. But man, that's karma, though. I mean, GMO, genetically modified. I'm wondering what you think of them. Toxic? Yes. Safe? No. Is there a lot of information out there? It should be. I know a lot on the internet. Now I think soy is up to what? 85% of soybeans now are GMOs? No, it's way up there, though. I don't know what it is, but it's way up there. Besides, you got to lose the idea of soy anyway. But it's the fact that they could influence the fruits, the berries, and the melons that scares me. What they can do is horrible. And I heard in Iraq that Iraqis cannot plant their old seeds anymore. They have to use seeds from Monsanto or something. Now, maybe that's just a thing out there, but would that be horrible?
All yellow corn is GMO.
Oh, yeah?
And the white corn.
Wow. Oh, yeah. Wow, all the yellow corn is GMO? Mm-hmm. Wow, I didn't know that. Because we raise yellow corn for for our animals and for eating years ago. But my favorite's always been white. It's always been more tender to me. Maybe not as sweet, but pretty good. So that's interesting. What is that brown drink you're always sipping on? All right, the little secret. That's my addiction. And that little brown juice isn't nectar of the gods. It's tea, iced tea. I got addicted to iced tea. Was raised on it, and then, of course, sometimes when I'm stressed out, I got to have a drink of iced tea. What is that brown drink? That is nectar of the gods. Now, much love for New Brunswick, Canada. Yeah, Canada. Canada. This is Backman Simon. Hello, Dr. Morris. First, I would like to say how much I appreciate all your videos. Well, I appreciate you watching them as much as you do me. So this is a give and take. I love all of you. So thank you so much. I live in Sweden. And would love to get my hands on your herbs. Well, we're learning a little technique, I think, to get it into Sweden. you can call Jennifer or one of the gals in the back. Let's see, Anita, and see, call Juanita and see if she's learned how to get that in Sweden. Sweden is signed up, I think, on the Codex thing where some of these countries you can't bring in herbs and stuff. There are certain herbs they classify as medicinos, so you can't get them in there. And there was one country who fought us over a couple of herbs because they classified them as medicines. And it's like, oh, crap. Give me a break. That's what one thing I do like about the FDA classifying herbs as foods, because they are. We're using foods that have a twist. And that twist is those foods were meant for specific tissues of the human body, and their nutrition can feed everybody. Oh, I just love the way God thinks. Wait a minute. God can't think, because if it thought, it couldn't be omnipresent, omnipotent. I don't know. I live in Sweden and I would love to get my hands on your herbs. I'm suffering a lot from fungus overgrowth. Well, if you can't find anything like walnut haw, Paul Diarco, anything like that, if you got different herbs over there, you can look up anything for fungus. Take them. Always move your lymph system, of course. She's got fungus overgrowth. If I scratch my skin, it swells and becomes red and irritated. Definitely move lymph. You definitely want to move lymph. Do some dry skin or wet skin brushing. I don't care. Get your kidneys filtering your adrenals up. Go after that fungus in the body, but fix sugar metabolism issues so you don't invite them back in, and stay away from complex sugars. This is the problem. People are consuming a lot of the grains, the complex sugars, and they have adrenal weakness. So they have sugar metabolism problems even with simple sugars, but they're doing complex sugars. So you're going to invite fungus in because you're going to have fermentation always. Your body's probably going to have fermentation issues with natural simple sugars with weak adrenals to a certain extent, but you're really going to have it with grains. So you should always pull back away from complex sugars with weak adrenals, because that's part of the problem. I fight it. Most of us fight that to some degree or other. I know my kidneys are bad too. I have had a lot of pain there. Yep. See, it's coming back. And I love these guys because they're getting so smart. And that's what we want. We want some smart cookies out there. You guys are knowing about your kidneys. You guys are going to know how to take care of yourselves and everyone else too. You'll be the main healers on the planet, and I love that. That's important because we have as you know, and as you read people's journeys through even naturopathic people, it's sad out there. Some lady was in yesterday, a big list of supplements this naturopath gave her, and there was nothing to deal with her cancer. There was nothing to help her with her cancer. There was all kinds of amino acids and all kinds of isolates, and it was like, oh no, honey. And he had her on all. You think I use a few? I use about 7 herbal formulas. When you look at the kidneys, the adrenals, and the bowels, and the lymphs and stuff, 7, 8 formulas somewhere in there. Depends on the case. Sometimes I might have to go more, not because I want, because I need to reach and grab those tissues. And I have them specifically for certain things. This guy had her on 20, 30 different supplements, and none of it was going to help her kidneys, bring her adrenals up, and move lymph. And she spent thousands of dollars. And she's calling me because her cancer's getting worse, of course. And it's like, oh no, the poor thing. And that's what's out there. And to me, it's embarrassing to naturopathy. Most naturopaths are embarrassing to naturopathy to me. No offense to you beautiful naturopaths, but you got to get with this educational channel and get, this is naturopathy. This is what you need to know, because using these supplements and isolates will get you nowhere, cost your patients a lot of money, and you're going to lose them anyway, and your reputation isn't going to grow like it should. And that naturopathy is the healing modality of the universe, but not naturopathic medicine. And that's what most of these naturopaths are practicing. Can't do that. It's not effective. They might feel a little better. They will feel a little better for a while, but when you're dealing in cancerous tumors, you don't sit there and let them wait months and months and months and you're not addressing their lymph system or anything. The more a person that has tumors and cancer in them wait, the more difficult it is. So these people have to deal with this immediately. Let me see here. Pain in the kidneys. Also, my GI tract is very weak from genetics. Which formula do you suggest and how many? Well, again, let's go back. Let's see. Oh, thank you so much, my friend. Health and spirituality. Health and spirituality to each and every one of you. Well, you want to get into the adrenals, of course, get into your kidneys. So again, this is kind of a standard protocol for all of you and for me and for everyone else, and it's kind of a real standard protocol, but it's aggressive and it's good. Stomach and bowel formula, always. Generally, number 1, if you move your bowels every day or 2 a day, use number 1. If you don't move your bowels well at all and you miss a day now and then, use number 2. If you don't poop but every 2 or 3 days, use number 3 and so forth. Lymphatic 1 capsules. That's going to draw the lymph from the bowel wall. Real important, I think. So lymphatic 1 capsules. At the same time, do a lymphatic 4 or a lymph node 2 tincture. This is after you do a basic 2-week detox on just one. Also use the kidney liquid number 1 and kidney number 1 capsules or kidney number 2 liquid. I would keep along with Parasite M for a couple of months to get the fungus, and if you have heavy fungus, you might be on Parasite M for 3 or 4 months just to help get all that overgrowth down and everything. At the same time, you're fixing the adrenals. If you have low blood pressure, you can take the adrenal tincture. If you have high blood pressure, you got to go to cytotrophin, you got to go to a glandular, because licorice is a big component to the adrenals. It helps to bring up blood pressure, but if you have high blood pressure, it can make it go higher. I don't want that. So use a glandular for a while and then go back. And sometimes if you have real weak adrenals, you can use an adrenal glandular and the adrenal tincture. I mean, we got some real chronic issues out there. Cells are a lot of cells are like this. They just don't know what's up. So we got to get them to know what's up and what their job is a cell. That's their innate in their consciousness, but they lack the energy and the memory patterns to hook to their beingness. Remember, every cell's a little being. So as we ignite their consciousness of the cell with energy from raw foods, as we ignite their consciousness with chemistry that is vital and enzymatic rich, cells just wake up and go, yeah, now I understand who I am. And that's what it takes. And then I would definitely, that's about all. 2 lymphatics, stomach and bowel, 2 kidneys, Parasite M. If you need to grab the liver, grab the liver. If you need to grab the pancreas. If you need upper circ, grab that. If you need a heart formula, you can add to that core mix. But now you're taking something specifically for tissue that's specifically responsible for your problem. Where if you take vitamins and minerals and amino acids, there's nothing there specific for those tissues. And their magnetics are very low at best. Especially in an isolated formula. If you get a superfood blend, now you got something totally different. You got the power and consciousness and the energetics of the food themselves. And so, much different type of thinking. Revolution Man. This is Revolution Man 2012. You get tired of sitting here yet?
No.
Good. All right, this is, can anyone tell me how to cure derealization, depersonalization? A loved one suffers from this. I've seen this question here before, and I've talked about this before, where a person just gets totally out of touch with the world. And one of the big factors of that is the emotions, is the adrenal glands. When your adrenal glands are really down, you can isolate yourself into a world of your own. Into any world. It can be a dark world too, especially with the depression of the parathyroid coming at you. When your endos are down, you go in back to the fetal position, because you're basically not living life in its vibrancy. So the lower energy, the more acidic, the more back to fetal position, and the more decay, and the more toward death, and the more syncope you get. So this is why you must get into those adrenal glands. Getting into the adrenal glands will get into the neurotransmitters that runs the autonomic nervous system, which translates to the astral body, which is your emotions. And and by bringing all this up, also learning to be in the now. Very important also for that person to not judge themselves and not look at themselves. But again, getting someone healthy to me has always been the doorway to fix these social type of problems and these emotional type of problems, these introspective type of people that put out, because I was very shy. Still am, believe it or not. You can make my face pretty red pretty easy. But I'm just used to speaking because I've done so much teaching in my life that it just comes natural to me. But, you know, like I've said, I've thrown up many times before I had to go out and give a lecture. Be in the bathroom sick as a dog and have to go out and give a talk. You know, it's how it gets you in the gut there and just rips you apart, you know. But after a while, you get used to it. And this is what I'm saying for you guys that are wanting to be healers and you're already taking those steps, because a lot of these guys are already healing up people all over the place. And I love that. And so it's just articulating what you see and know down through these little channels of the emotions and the mind and through this physical body, because you'll see this, and I talked to someone yesterday that way, where they have so much awareness, but when it comes to talking to people, it doesn't come out as they see it. And I'm that way, we're all that way, because we're trying to take so much and bring it through so little. That's why simplicity is always your key. When you try to get intellectual, your mind will combobulate. It'll lock up. When you relax and just talk like you're talking to a bunch of friends, it'll open up. And that's what you want to see. You want to see everyone you talk to, everyone you're helping as your friend, as your brother, as your sister, as part of the one of all life, sent here by God. And you also become the way shower to help these souls that are trapped, or these souls that are dealing in some of these bodies that are not genetically up there. And so by turning someone on to health and vitality, you're actually opening the door into the God worlds. Because the less energy you have, the weaker you are, the more you're back down to the fetal position again, the more you're into the darkness. The light, that's what you want to bring your friends, and that you want to bring your friends where you are. You know, there's an old saying when you're talking to people, now using this figuratively speaking, do you go down to their level in consciousness, or do you bring them up to yours? Absolutely, you always bring them up. This is Oxygen Pomagan, Healthy Blood. Dear Dr. Morris, many thanks for your videos. We are now a high fruit family. Yeah, we talked to this one a minute ago with a pretty little doggy. I've accidentally cut myself. She's written this before. If you have bleeding problems and you're bleeding too much, keep detoxing. I have a bleeding formula that will stop bleeding if you're bleeding too much or have internal bleeding. Use that one. But ultimately, as you get your body healthy, you get the liver healthy, you get your spleen healthy, because here's the spleen and platelets, build your bone marrow up. As you start doing these things, as I said, when you cut yourself, no blood, immediate clotting, not in the negative way, everything is good, and no pain. That means the nervous system is on. When your nervous system is strong, there is no pain. Isn't that funny? And the weaker the nervous system, the more pain. How interesting, huh? Now, this is a question by Reforest for Fertility. Interesting. Reforest for Fertility. Doctor, while fruit sugars are natural in juice, they're out of the context of the fiber, which shows it entry into the body, making juice high glycemic and mostly whole fruit low glycemic. Isn't it the abrupt effect on the pancreas and upon the body system in general with high glycemic food intake what creates dental problems like a systemic cause and typical agents, acids, and bacteria appearing to cause the effect? Well, mostly it is the effect, dear one, absolutely. Mostly it is the effect, and of course acids are going to be the byproduct of most metabolism and respiration and most activity. There is always conversion of this by something, whether it's plants or chemistry in the body, but not all. So there is some excretion of acids to the outside world for sure, absolutely. In terms of fruit, fiber, being a lot of starch, absolutely. Although the fruit starch to me, that sugar really, I've seen this in type 1, particularly with the insulin problems and in simple glucose not being carried through a cell wall. I've never seen vegetable fiber or thought of it in the way of creating more sugar problems. Possible, definitely possible, I suppose. Maybe that's why fruit sugar is so much superior to that. But it's always the acids. And even in the fruit, you got some acids. You got some acids in all foods. All foods are not all base chemistry. Even vegetables are not all base chemistry. A good grown food should be about 80% base to 20% acidic. You're always going to have some phosphorus. You're always going to have some iron. Always going to have the acid principles in a food. Always. Some foods have a little more, some a little less. Like nightshades and things like that. They're just the rearrangement of chemistry to make the food. So you just have to play through that. But ultimately, the breakdown of the teeth and everything else is definitely an acid medium. And if you're eating fruits and vegetables, you'll notice that it'll turn your saliva alkaline. And that's really what you want. But again, moving length is really key here. Well, our time is coming up to an end, and I still, as you see, I haven't got a lot done because we had so many questions, and then it takes a while to explain, but hopefully that some of these answers will reach out to all of you, to all of them. How do you learn out-of-body travel? Now you're talking. All right, this is Minchu, Grammy. All right, so we'll end on that one. There's so many of you asked some beautiful questions. Hi, Detoxifier. Like your new name. I tell you what, there's so many. I'm going to get to you all. I promise. I'll get to these. I'm going to come in another 3 or 4 hours this weekend and catch up with them. But how do you practice out-of-body travel? Well, first of all, you must understand who's the real you, at least as much as you can. You know that this body isn't you because you notice that you come into it and you leave it at the time of birth and at the time of death, right? Now, if you know that you just using this body and you just entered to it, and it takes a near-death experience to have an out-of-body experience, in other words, something to shake you so hard that you pop out, or something that hurts the body so bad that your body can't support you anymore, then you leave the body. Why is it that you couldn't leave it at any time you wanted to? If you have the ability to move in it, you have the ability to move out of it. What's the difference? And that is your attention. Your attention is your consciousness. That is, when you look here, when you look there, you must plug into the looker. You must learn who is the looker, not what you're looking at, but who's doing the looking. That's the real you, the knower, the looker. Not the person, not the mind, not the thoughts, not the desires, not the emotions. That's not you. That's your process of creating. So you must, to understand who you are, you have to drop all preconceived ideas of who you think you might be. Even we use the terminology soul by trying to depict something that you can't put a word on, can still limit your ability to see yourself as something omnipresent or something that's more infinite. So getting to realize that that person that is doing the observing, the person that's doing the experiencing, whether it's Julie, whether it's Karen, whether it's Kelly, whether it's Steve, it doesn't matter. Whether it's Owen, it doesn't matter. It's who is doing the observing is who you really are. So you experience by where you place your attention. In creation is dead to you until you put your attention on it. It's kind of like having a long film, and each frame is dead until there's light given it. And then when you take the light off of that picture in that frame, it goes on and that frame's gone and the light keeps shining on new pictures, even though these pictures are still there. And that's creation. Creation is just endless amounts of film. You're the one that is the projector that turns on the light and views each room, each film. And so it is with these different levels. And that's why Jesus made the comment that in my Father's mansion there are many rooms. So most of these spiritual giants knew the ability and the art of out-of-body travel. St. Paul, St. Peter, I mean, there are tons of spiritual giants that have been seen in two places simultaneously. Interesting stuff, even in the Christian lore. So very easy to understand when you understand you're not the body, you're only using it, but that your attention activates your experience. And so you simply move your attention from one place to another, but you don't take your body with you. And so that's what meditation is about. If you want to travel in creation, you must put your attention away from where you are in that moment. If your body's in the house, then and you're laying down at night, picture yourself somewhere where you want to be, someplace you love, and put yourself there. I like to be on the beach, so I like to smell the ocean. I like to feel my feet walking on the beach, and the next thing you know, I'm walking on the beach. Oh yeah. I moved myself out of my physical body and moved it to my astral body, or I moved it to my mental body. Doesn't matter that you know what body you're in at the time. You know you're not looking through the physical body. You're looking through your astral or mental body, which has ability to travel in their worlds. And the higher you get to yourself, you can travel in all these different worlds. So it's an incredible thing. Get books on Paul Twitchell. Paul Twitchell was an avid out-of-body traveler at age 3. He and his sister played more out-of-body than in-body when they were babies and young children. He mapped out the heavens. And I've also given you a clue about the Monroe Institute. Matter of fact, Dimitri here got the Monroe Institute information. He mapped out the astral world pretty good and works with out-of-body travels through music. And, you know, a good music will take me, like Enigma can take me right out of my body. And so it's just shifting your attention from one place to another place. That's all it is. After a while of traveling, you must understand that reality is that which has attention. In other words, you're the reality. Traveling is still in creation. It isn't in the higher God worlds because there is no place to go. There's no place to go outside of yourself. There's no world, there's no place. That's only creation. It's only the drama. It's only the soap opera of life. And that is constantly changing depending upon your desires, where you put your attention. But it is you that is the core of reality, and it is you that you have to get to know. And the best way to get to know it is lock yourself away somewhere in a room by yourself and spend a few days and get to know who you are. Not your desires, not your thoughts. Who are you really? Tough questions, you know, and there's no answers out there in man. The only answer is for you to settle into your beingness. Stop thinking, stop talking, and there's nothing you won't know. Love you all. See you later. Take care of yourselves, and I'll try to get caught up here and get all your questions answered. Thanks again, you beautiful souls, and have a great day, and give love to everything today, okay? Goodbye now.